Hey guys, Bogren Digital just released a new free plugin, IRDX Studio. It's basically a modern IR loader plugin with some great features. And in this video, we're going to check it out, have some fun, check out all the features and take a listen. Let's start by taking a listen to a couple of riffs in my DAW through the Bogren Digital BDE 120 Mark II amp knob plugin. And then with the cab turned off, and then with IRDX Studio on it for the cab IRs. Let's take a quick listen. All right, that sounded pretty nice, right? So that's all in the box. The guitar that I used for these tracks is my Guitars DCO. Let me show you that guitar. It's this beautiful custom guitar that was built for me by Roel from Guitars in the Netherlands. Love this guitar. And that is going into the DAW, and we have the DI tracks over here, one for the left side and the other for the right side. Again, for the main amp tones, I'm running BDE 120 Mark II with the pedal off, gain cranked up to around 2 o'clock or so, and the built-in cab turned off. And that is going into the IRDX Studio, and I am applying a bit of a high-pass filter at around 77 Hertz, just to clear out the low-end rumble that these guitars have. You know, that really low-end information can get in the way of the bass guitar or the kick drum. So that's why I always make some room there. Okay. Now, again, this plugin, IRDX Studio by Bogren Digital, is free. But this video is sponsored by Bogren. So thanks so much to the folks at Bogren Digital for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate it. Now, quickly to clarify, there is one feature in this plugin that is not free, and that is this IRDX section over here, which we'll get into in a minute. That's basically an upgrade. I think it will cost around $49 or something like that. All the rest is free. But if you want that dynamic speaker emulation, you know, that makes your IRs less static, if you will, you're going to have to pay a little bit extra. But I've been spending some time with this plugin and I'm really enjoying the workflow. All right. Now, let's discuss the tones real quick. Let's take a quick listen to the isolated guitars. And let's turn off the high pass filter just so you can hear what that low end is doing. I'll leave that off for now. So that's that really low, subby low end that's going on. And, you know, guitar speakers tend to have some frequencies always that aren't really beneficial to a good mix. So, but that's off for now. Now, let's take a look at the plugin. So over here is the section where you can load your IRs. You can basically add folders and browse through them. So that is nice. I'll get into a couple of details about that in a minute. But first, let's see what we have going on here. So my folder, this is my mega bundle, which has 34 speakers combined into one huge pack. And so these are all my IRs. I really like how you can see the graphs here of all the IRs, right? And where the strong frequency information is for each IR in this preview section. You can also see some details over here. So this is the bitrate and stuff like that. Now, a very special and cool feature about this plugin is that it automatically detects what the sample rate and bitrate is of your DAW, and then leaves all the IRs that you have in those folders out that do not match the bitrate. All right. And that's quite convenient, and that clears up a lot of clutter, because in a lot of IR packs you get multiple sample rates and bit rates and everything. So this makes that a lot easier. You know, you only get the files that you need in the particular project. You can turn that off in the settings menu over here though, you know, by turning this off right here. So that is cool. All right. Now I have two IRs loaded up. The first IR is an IR of my workhorse speaker, which is the V30, the Chinese one, which I love. It has great clarity. That's this one over here. In the second slot, I have the Heyday loaded up, which is my second favorite. It's great for metal. It has a nice growl. That's, again, mix one main for both, right? Now I have them loaded in these two slots. We have 5 slots over here, and I'm blending between the two. We can also adjust the slider so that you can hear how they sound individually and the various shades of blend. Let's take a listen, starting in the middle. So that's just the V30, nice and cutting. That is just the Heyday, so the Heisu Demon speaker. And I had it somewhere in the middle, so that's a nice blend between the two. So that's the tone from the demo. I do have IRDX on as well on the default setting, and I did use this calibrated feature over here, the calibrate feature. I calibrated the level of the track so that it's going into the plugin with proper levels, basically, right? I think if you're going in too hot, it will probably start to saturate a little bit more than is intended for the sonic effect that IRDX is going to add to your IRs, right? So again, you can add your IRs here just as I've done. You can add multiple folders, which is nice. Now, as I said, this plugin also comes with some free IRs, you know, some demo IRs so that you can try some IRs by Bogren. Let's try a couple. To do that, let's turn off this one over here and focus just on this slot. And let's start with this one, the heaviest cab in the world. Let's take a listen. Nice and chunky. Let's try this Bogren Rhythm BDRH Gates of Hell IR. Nice. Let's also try this down-tuned Rhythm IR. Cool. Christian Cole Chainsaws. Ball grinding scoop. Cool, and then this Rainbow's Transatlantic Thickness. Sounds kind of like a Mesa cab. Let's try one more from 2 Madsen. Sounds nice. So you get those for free. That is cool, right? Let's go back to my IRs. Of course, you can select the different folders. So these are the different speaker options that I have in my pack, but I'm just going to select them all and browse through them. Let's load a couple up. So let's make a nice blend. So for instance, this Carney, this is based on the Eminence Carnivore. How to load an IR? It's very simple. You just click it and drag it into this thing over here where you can blend IRs and stuff. So this is a very thick sounding IR in the bottom end. Let's take a quick listen. That is nice. However, I do want a little bit of that Heisu Demon growl in there. So let's also load the Heyday once again, which I just used. The V2 is a bit of a newer version that I've made. This is a 50-50 blend of the two. Cool. Now I want a little bit of bite and clarity in there. I could do the V30, but I want to do it a little bit differently. I want to do a greenback, the GM25, you know, which is very open and a little bit more flat sounding. And let's go for just the main mix, because that's the mix that I enjoy of 3 mics. So 2 SM57s placed in different positions, as well as an MD421 compact blended together. So we've got the main mixes going on for each speaker. And now with the mouse, we can blend between the speakers or, you know, solo the speakers and whatnot. And you can, again, use up to 5 IRs. So let's blend between these 3. So that's a blend between 3 different types of speakers, just for fun. Let's go ahead and load up 2 more speakers. Let's do the Lucifer, which is very growly. That's the Fein speaker for Lichtlärm audio. Sounds something like this. That's cool. And let's do one more. Let's do the Swamp Thing. Swamp Thing by Eminence. And also let's go for the Mix 2, which is a blend between one of the 57s and the 421 compact. It sounds like this. And now I'm just going to move this dot around the spectrum so you can hear how all the blends sound. So the greenback is a little bit brighter. So if I just want to open the sound up a little bit, I can move that dot to the to the greenback so that the whole sound opens up a little bit. So it's a quite cool feature. You can blend in between different flavors. So that's quite nice, right? Now, I'm gonna remove a bunch of these to demonstrate some other things, but that is quite nice, right? How you can blend them all together. And they'll all be in phase, by the way, which is very nice. I really like that. So let's stick with the Carney, which is the Eminence Carnivore. And let's take a look at some other features. Of course, again, we have the solo feature, the power feature to turn that IR on or off. You can also store your IR. So if you've made a specific blend that you're really enjoying, you can store that to a separate IR, which you can now load onto your hardware modeler, for example. You know, let's say an Axe-Fx or a Quad Cortex. We even have a list of sort of presets so that you will export to the proper IR format for that device. So for example, let's go for the Fractal Audio. It goes to 24-bit, 48 kilohertz, mono, etc. Quad Cortex has a different length, as you can see here. Different samples. You can also set this to milliseconds. Yeah, let's try one more. Let's do the Line 6 Helix. So they all have different settings, right? And then you can export that, any blend that you've made into the plugin, and use it in your modeler. That's nice, right? Then over here we have the EQ section, which has some really nice features. Now you can sort of emulate an out of phase sound with the delay control over here. Let's just do that. So let's load, again, let's load the Swamp Thing. So we have 2 speakers over here. Now when it's in the middle, sounds in phase. If I adjust this delay control, you're going to hear a sort of phase shift. So you can use that to adjust that micro shift or micro delay between 2 IRs, which can be really handy. I don't use that, but if you need it, it is there, right? Let's go back to this Carney IR. Now we also have this resonance control, which you can use to, you know, tweak the resonance. It will add a bit of bottom end, sort of scoop the sound a little bit. Let's demonstrate that with a speaker that is a little bit more compact sounding. Maybe this RC75, which is based on an Eminence red coat. It's a little bit more honky in the mids, right? What if we want a little bit more of a scooped sound? Then we can use this resonance control. So it's going to be less honky, and it mostly has an effect on the low end chunkiness. But it does a really nice thing for the bottom end. Scoops it out. Really cool. And then we have an EQ with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 bands that you can all tweak to taste with Q, the frequency, and the gain. So you can scoop the mids, you know, boost the mids. So this is with the EQ off. So that's nice how you can tweak the IR to taste, basically. All right, let's put that back to the middle. Turn everything to 0. All right, so now let's move on and try out the IRDX technology. And again, if you want this feature, you're gonna have to pay for it. I think $49. And this emulates the dynamic behavior of a speaker that an IR cannot capture, according to Bogren Digital. In any case, whether it's super realistic or not, it's just a nice effect to give your guitars with an IR a little bit more depth, okay? A little bit more of a 3D quality. And we can try that out right now. So let's just turn it on and off first. Certainly doesn't sound bad without, but I do like how it adds a little bit of je ne sais quoi life to your IR sound, right? This is the default setting, I believe, or maybe it should be 100, I'm not sure. It's around the default setting. You can make it more drastic or more subtle, so let's do that. I like what it adds. It's subtle, but it is nice. We also have the intense setting, which is, you know, a bit more intense. It sounds as if you're really cranking that cabinet up and almost blowing your speaker up. Let's try that. Yeah, so it's a cool little feature, right? I like it. All right, now, there's also another mode that I should show you, which is the Audition mode. This is just an easier way of trying a bunch of different IRs and browsing through a bunch of different IRs. And then the mixer is basically bypassed. So you're just gonna listen to the speaker that you have selected. Let's do that with a bunch of speakers. So again, that's just a great way of auditioning various IRs. A very nice feature. One more thing that I'd like to show you is the store. So we have this basket over here. If we click on it, we go to the store. And this is where you can easily purchase some of the Bogren Digital IR packs that they have released, right? Which are these packs. And I believe that the ones, the free ones that you get are from those packs, right? So this is basically a teaser of the IRs that you can also purchase in the store. You can also set it to mono. We have an input and an output level, and that's it. So it's a simple product, but at the same time, you can do a lot with it. And I like it. I like it for sure. I like the EQ. There's one thing that I would like them to change. I would like there to be a mode that you can link the EQ so that the EQ works for all the IRs at the same time. So right now, if you have a couple different speakers loaded up, and if you change the EQ on one of them, you're not going to change it for the other, which is great. But sometimes I just want to make the EQ adjustments to the whole thing. And now I have to sort of, go between the IRs and try to match the EQ settings, etc. So if there was a global mode for the EQ, that would be even better. Yeah, that's just a little gripe that I have. So yeah, that is IRDX Studio by Bogren Digital. Thanks again so much to the folks at Bogren for sponsoring this video. I really appreciate it. I think this product is excellent. Again, it's free. IRDX aside, that is an upgrade. I think that's fair. You don't need it to get some great tones, but it's a nice little extra for adding some dimension to the tones. And of course, they're not going to give you that for free because that is a paid product that you can also buy separately on their website. I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below because I'd love to know. Also, be sure to hit the like and subscribe buttons as that really helps the channel out. I'd really appreciate it. And you can follow me on Facebook and Instagram as well. All right, guys, I hope to see you in the next video. Cheers.